So this is your absolute nightmare. You've gone to access the tooth and you've judged the angle of the burr wrong, and now you've drilled through the side of the tooth. Nightmare. Well, this video is going to demonstrate a real life case on how you'd manage this type of event and demonstrate that it's not really that scary to manage. So let's get straight into it. This tooth was referred to me by a colleague who saw this patient for the first time as an emergency appointment. The patient was suffering from a severe pain from their lower left first premolar and had mentioned that the tooth had been previously accessed by another dentist. So after a radiograph was taken and special tests were carried out, the tooth was found to have pulpal necrosis with associated chronic apical periodontitis. So like any competent dentist, they decided to extubate the tooth and immediately noted that there might be a failed access. That when they advanced the K-file inside the tooth, there was immediate resistance, almost fibrous in nature. At this point, they took a radiograph with the file in place, and although not completely obvious, it highly suggested a perforation in the tooth. So it's at this point where the case is referred to me. I see the patient for a consultation and suggest a CBCT scan. Some people would argue, why would a CBCT be indicated on this particular occasion? Well, my justification in this case would be to visualize the extent of the location of the perforation. And I also noticed that there was no obvious canal space in the coronal third of the tooth and wanted to plan my access without perforating the tooth again. So the CBCT image is very interesting. If you look at the 3D render, you can visualize the perforation straight away, and luckily it is supracrestal, meaning the perforation repair is less complex. If we look at the tooth in the sagittal plane, you can clearly see how the tooth was perforated. Notice how the occlusal surface of the tooth is not axial to the tooth root, and given the sclerosed coronal third of the canal space, it's easy to see how this type of tooth could be perforated, so let's not be too judgy with the clinician who has done this. The first obvious thing that needs to be done is to repair the perforation, and in this case the perforation can be seen just below the gingival margin. So I decided to use a rubber dam clamp with deep reaching beaks to retract the gingiva. The perforation is then restored simply with a composite restoration. Of course, if the perforation is subcrestal, then a bioceramic filling material will be more appropriate. So the next hurdle to overcome is gaining the correct access. This is where the use of the CBCT image comes in useful again. So of course I can use it to visualize the angle of the access, but I suppose you could just do that without a CBCT. But it also just gives you that little bit of extra reassurance. What it also gives you, however, is an estimated length at which the canal space should be opening up. So firstly, we want to access the tooth and only slightly reposition the access cavity. This is so we don't overly remove too much of the tooth tissue, as this is going to affect the strength of the tooth once it's been restored. It's at this point the access cavity is accessed, and this circle here shows the area in which the original accessing dentist went a little off-piste. However, this is the area I want to investigate, which again is not directly axial to the occlusal surface, but which we know, based on the CBCT, is the correct plane we should be removing dentin. So in this case, I'm using a ball-ended ultrasonic tip, which is part of a set of ultrasonic tips called the EndoSuccess. I really like this ball-ended tip as it's not too bulky, but can remove a bit more tooth tissue than a fine needle type tip. I then like to periodically use a full strength ultrasonic scaler tip to remove any excess debris. Some may suggest that this has too much energy for this type of negotiation, but I've used this approach quite a lot, and the amount of times it's allowed me just to drop into the canal space makes me fully trust this approach. It's at this point I thought I may have got lucky, but it wasn't the case. So after that little false hope, I just carefully and slowly remove the dentin with my ball-ended ultrasonic tip and with the full strength ultrasonic tip with water. So at this point I realise that my vertical axis is slightly off and I need to readjust my line of attack. And just see how it's easy to do this, and you need to be super mindful and switched on when doing these types of intricate cases. So again, I'm using my ball-ended ultrasonic tip, and I move my axis line of dentin removal in the correct plane. And I'm using a full-strength ultrasonic tip with water for gross debris removal. And I'm actually now happy with the line axis and where the instrument is advancing. It's at this point I know I'm in the correct area, and also I know I'm at the correct depth. I know this because I used the measuring tool on the CBCT imaging software to gauge how far down the sclerosis has occurred, which is around 13 millimeters from the highest cusp, as shown here on this image. I then proceed with switching my ball-ended instrument to a sharp pointed instrument and just judiciously explore around the area of interest. And that's where I feel a small but satisfying drop. I irrigate, and you can see here there's a small exposure, which is a result. It's from here I just rely on my usual shaping protocol. I know the canal is relatively wide in the coronal third, so I'm not going to open the orifice with a size 10K file, and I go straight for the size 25 Hylfex 1 file to widen the exposure. I'm then taking a working length check with my size 10K file, and then I'm using a Hylfex size 10 glide path rotary file to length. Notice the orifice is getting wider. Then finish the shaping with the Hylfex 25-1 file fully to length. And with plenty of irrigation, we have a lovely shaped orifice and canal space. Obturation is simple. I'm using a matched Hylfex 1 file GP cone and confirming tug back always. I'm then activating the irrigant with an ultrasonic instrument and drying the canal space with a paper point. My relatively new addition to my standard obturation protocol is using a fantastic bioceramic sealer called OneFil, and this is bought at toothsaver.co.uk, and using these Visco-tips bought from the same website. These are fantastic tips and worth using as they provide low wastage of the sealer, essentially saving you money. Before you start, however, you need to load the tip up before you enter the canal, and very carefully you fill the coronal to mid-third of the canal with sealer, and then very, very slowly advance the GP point to length. To finish off, you burn it off with a heated plugger. And as we look at the obturation here, you can see we are to length, and even managed to get the sealer into a lateral canal in the apical third, which is a beautiful result. So there you have it, a complex but really rewarding case. If you love this video, please like and subscribe to my channel, as it really urges me to continue to make great and exciting comments, and I'll see you soon.